When misogyny raised its head in the Wynwood area of Miami, it was focused towards our lesbian and transgender community. 3 women were beaten by a local bar bouncer, an MMA fighter, and his friends who said their lives were wrong because they'd never been with a man. The most watched stories of the year, number 3 of 23. Lesbian and trans women beaten on Miami Wynwood Street by a group of men.
Shocking video is widely circulating across LGBTQ America of a beating that took place by a group of men attacking lesbians and a trans woman. The attack occurred after a holiday event for 400 people was held in Wynwood, Miami. The news was first reported by NBC6 South Florida and a popular LGBTQ reporter, Jamie Guirola. Pandora Events, one of the nation's largest lesbian event organizers, held their annual white party on Saturday, November 25th into the early morning hours of Sunday, November 26th. The attack took place at approximately 3:30, as at least 2 lesbians and a trans woman were leaving the party. Queer News Tonight had an exclusive interview with Alison Burgos, CEO of Pandora Events. According to Burgos, the group of men included an MMA fighter and a bouncer from a nearby club. Queer News Tonight can confirm the actual exchange according to one of those attacked and Burgos. One victim said, quote, "This group of guys, basically, they just started screaming stuff at us. Anti-lesbian comments, like, you're only lesbians because you haven't received actual dick," end quote. Alison added that the assailant said, quote, "You need to get dick. You need to get dicked hard," end quote. To which one of the women replied, quote, "Why? You have a small dick," end quote. That is when the violent beating began. Because of the reference of why the women were lesbians means the case is now being investigated as a hate crime. The victims can be heard telling the attackers that the police have been called and pleading with them to stop the violence. The video shows 2 attackers attacking a male friend of the group who tried to intervene. Burgos confirms all the women were punched, including the trans women. One victim was punched and was knocked out as a result of the attack. Burgos said, quote, "Jennifer, one of those attacked, was hospitalized. Lillian, the trans woman, was hospitalized with a broken jaw and broken finger." The HRC Equality Florida and NAACP have all issued warnings in 2023 that LGBTQ+ people have faced increasing hostility in Florida. A Miami Police Department spokesperson told NBC News that authorities are actively working on the case, but it's been 3 weeks with no arrests made. A spokesperson said, quote, "Like any investigation, we have to dot the T's and dot the I's and cross the T's. We are working with our LGBTQ+ liaison and State Attorney's Office Hate Crime Task Force," end quote. Burgos was told, quote, "We have to make sure we have everything lined up before we initiate our arrest. I was told arresting and holding accountable is not easy. Be patient," end quote. Burgos is now trying to escalate some action. She said, quote, "I don't know why they haven't been arrested. There are many witnesses, many phone recordings. A friend was an eyewitness. I gave it 2 days and had to go to save because there had been no action. I am very surprised they were not arrested and then interviewed," end quote. According to Burgos, one of the alleged attackers is an MMA fighter identified as Brian Duran. He posted in his social media saying, quote, "Crazy how some women will die and never experience a real cock," using a rooster emoji. Another major issue beyond accountability is the city's response to this shocking crime in Wynwood and Miami. Burgos reached out to the Wynwood Business Improvement District, but doesn't believe LGBTQ+ safety is important to them. Burgos said, quote, "I reached out to them for help. They have not responded," end quote. And to that, the response from the city of Miami. Mayor Francis Suarez has had no comment on the attack in any official capacity. Burgos says, quote, "We're seeing more violence and criminal activity against the LGBTQ+ community. The city is doing nothing. Mayor Suarez does not seem to care," end quote. Queer News Tonight asked about Miami-Dade County and Mayor Daniela Levine Cava, famously supportive of the LGBTQ+ community. Burgos pointed out that Wynwood is in Suarez's jurisdiction, not Miami-Dade County. But that did not stop Levine Cava. Burgos said, quote, "Daniela has issued a statement and called out the attack and violence. She told the world what Miami-Dade County thinks about LGBTQ+ hate crimes. Mayor Suarez has not," end quote. It should be noted the irony that the Miami-Dade County mayor has a lesbian daughter. And in Wynwood, Miami could have been the target of this random attack by these men. The damage to Wynwood has been done. As Burgos said, quote, "Wynwood does not feel safe. I won't be doing another event here," end quote. Growing hate and violence against LGBTQ+ has been a major story in 2023. It made Queer News Tonight consider obvious comparisons of whether an event like this could happen in Wilton Manors and Fort Lauderdale. We asked the Pandora Events director, who produces events in both Broward County and Dade County, what she thought. Burgos said, quote, "There's a dramatic difference in Wynwood versus Wilton Manors. This could not happen in Wilton. Their city officials, their police force for both Wilton and Fort Lauderdale completely support and embrace the LGBTQ+ community. No one in Wynwood has come to our defense. Unfortunately, Wynwood is not as LGBTQ+ friendly as I thought," end quote. Burgos is not talking about the attack, but rather the response. She made a broader comparison to Miami-Dade County and Broward County. Quote, "Broward feels much safer. Look at leadership from the mayor's office. Fort Lauderdale has Mayor Dean Trantelis and a police chief who are both gay. The city of Miami has Francis Suarez. He hasn't made a single comment or statement on the attack on the LGBTQ+ community in his city," end quote. Queer News Tonight will continue to follow this story. Wow. Okay. Lots to unpack, folks. And thank you for your patience. We wanted to make sure to get all the facts out to our viewers to make sure, because of course there's always crazy rhetoric or misinformation that goes out there. This did happen a few weeks ago. As we stated in the story, Alison Burgos, who has been, a fearless leader of Pandora Events. I mean, when I was a little baby lesbian, that was one of the first lesbian events that I ever went to was hers, And Alison strides and makes it her mission to make events where the women are safe, right? And by women, I mean, if you identify as a woman, you're part of the party. And we have a great time having it. The white party, right, has been something that has been going on for decades. It probably has been going on for maybe like 20 years. And this particular party, I was supposed to go, and I was triple booked and could not go, and it breaks my heart. I, as a lesbian, as an open out lesbian, I can't tell you that all that verbiage and all that crap that those women heard on that evening are not things that I've heard myself since even before I came out. I have to remember an instance where, one of many, unfortunately, where I've walked down the street with a partner and somebody has said, "You just haven't gotten the right dick." And I have replied, "Neither have you." And I've gotten a bottle thrown at me. And it's one of 5 instances that and again, I'm very well aware that I have a luxury, that I look like this. I am straight passing. I'm straight presenting. I'm very well aware about my privilege, and I still get that. So imagine my lesbian sisters that are maybe a little butchier, or maybe, whatever it is. This is what we deal with on an everyday basis. And these, I hate to call them gentlemen, but they had to make themselves feel like real men by knocking out 3 women. And you can go home and go to sleep soundly after doing something like that. I am beside myself. And to Mayor Suarez, how dare you? Say something, sir. We're in your city. You obviously don't really give a crap about what happens to LGBTQ+. And that for me is painful, because every year I go to a luncheon. I go to an LGBTQ+ luncheon where all the mayors sit up there and they tell us how they're going to make sure that our community is going to be okay, and what they're doing for us this year. Right? And Mayor Suarez was one of those people on that panel. So to hear that silence is just as bad as saying something horrific towards our community. It's just as bad to stay silent. Sorry, boys.
No, it's okay.
I'm so sorry. I'm just beside myself.
What you were saying, no response is a response. We hear it loud and clear. And just to see the evidence that's been brought forward so far, the social media posts, the video, they have his name, they know where he works, and he hasn't been arrested yet. It's just a clear indication that the city does not care about this case.
And let's be clear, don't call them gentlemen. They're not gentlemen. Any men that violently attack women, you're not a gentleman. You're an ass. You're a dick. You're a pussy. Excuse my French for using that, but you are. You are to attack women. Who does that? But we are living in an age. I hate to use this term, or call out this person, that we're living in a Trump age still.
You have to say it, but you're right.
I have to say it. Where people feel empowered to do what they want. I grew up in an age where we respect women, we respect the other. I would never put a hand on a woman. You were a coward. You wouldn't do that.
You're a coward.
You are a coward for doing that.
But the point is that anyone who disrespects any other human being, regardless of gender, is not acting in the best interests of society.
No.
And so these people are acting in the worst way people act towards others. And it doesn't matter if they were women, it doesn't matter if they were men. Someone who would do that would do it to children. Someone who did that would do it to anybody, a senior. What this shows is that we are no longer living in what we would consider a civilized society. And that's on all of us, but it's certainly on the people who are supposed to set an example, and that would be elected officials who really need to come out and come out strong on these things so people know that it is not okay to act in these ways that are unacceptable in a civil society.
Well, this story is disturbing and disappointing. I mean, there's no reason why an entertainment district such as Wynwood shouldn't be as safe and supportive of LGBTQ plus people as Wilton Manors or Fort Lauderdale. And let's be honest here, it's safe to say that an MMA fighter and a bouncer are not exactly a brain trust. They're probably insecure about their penises. And the same may hold true for Mayor Suarez as well.
You know, I have to say, you know, Pride Lines, where I work at, is in Miami. We cover all of Miami-Dade County. And, you know, when we heard of this story, we immediately put a statement out. I know people in Mayor Suarez's administration who is just beside themselves, who have expressed to me just their discontent with this particular situation. And I know behind the scenes, they're working on some dialogues and conversations in the city of Miami, and we're a part of those conversations. I know the Suarez hasn't come out publicly to say anything, but there are people, really good people in his administration who really care about our community. In particular, I'll name one, Michael Romano, who is just an amazing guy, is always very supportive of our community, and is at the forefront of wanting to do something about this.
Yeah, no, and you know, and I'm sorry, not sorry. You know what I mean? If it makes you look like a real dick for not saying something, then you're a real dick. The reality is silence is saying something, at least to us. We don't have that kind of time. We just don't.
Right, 3 weeks have gone by, yeah.
Wow. Well, we will stay tuned to Queer News Tonight. We'll definitely have more results with this story.
Yeah, and I have to say, we at Pride Lines won't let this go. You know, one of our key principles is promoting dialogues and safe and affirming places. And so in 2024, we're at the end of the year, but we won't let this go. We'll definitely be at the forefront of this as well.
Yeah, yeah. And again, there was only 13 lesbian bars in the whole entire country, right? And that's been like a big news story all for the last couple of years. And they keep on saying that the reason that we don't have lesbian spaces is because we're allowed everywhere. We're not.
Well, you may be allowed everywhere, but that doesn't mean you're welcome.
Well, we're not safe. We're not safe. We're not safe everywhere. And Wynwood is a little melting pot of straight and gays, and it's a lot of people all together. But you know what? Obviously, there was no police force around 3:30 in the morning making sure that the girls leaving that club were getting to their car safe or whatever it was. You know, I have to believe that justice will be served. Okay, and I'll leave it with that. I will believe that justice will be served.